Welcome to the Courtroom Club. Today, we at Jonker Vorster Attorneys are tackling well, a really fundamental question for anyone living in South Africa in 2025.
Mm,
And that is, what exactly constitutes proof of residence? It's something that, crops up constantly
mm.
in all sorts of legal, financial, administrative things.
Absolutely. Yeah, as part of our work here at the firm, we see firsthand just how crucial it is. Um, Individuals, businesses, they need the correct documentation, whether you're, say, opening a bank account, navigating FICA requirements, or even just trying to get your municipal services connected. Proof of where you live is, well, almost always required.
Exactly. It can feel like such a minor detail sometimes, can it? But it really underpins so many important processes. And it's not just about ticking a box, right? There's some very valid reasons why this requirement exists.
That's right, yeah. At its core, providing proof of residence is a key aspect of compliance, specifically with the Financial Intelligence Center Act, FICA. This legislation is, frankly, vital in our efforts to combat financial crime, money laundering, terrorist financing, things like that. And it also plays a significant role for SARS, the South African Revenue Service, helps ensure accurate taxpayer records.
Right.
And then you've got banks, other financial institutions. They use it to verify client identities when opening accounts. Plus, service providers use it for accurate records and, importantly, preventing fraud.
Okay, so the importance is clear, very clear. Now, let's say we get down to brass tacks. What documents will actually work when you need to prove your address? Based on, the latest guidelines from the FIC, SARS, the major banks we often work with here at the firm, we put together a list. Let's think about 10 commonly accepted document types.
Yes, and understanding these accepted forms of proof, it can really streamline things for you. It helps prevent unnecessary delays or, complications down the line.
Okay, first on our list then, utility bills. This includes your municipal bill, electricity, water, rates, that sort of thing. Now, a point to note here, these bills, they must be in your name. And the good news is both paper and electronic versions are generally okay.
That's helpful.
Yeah, but it's important, really important, to ensure they're no older than 3 months. This 3-month window, it seems pretty standard across several of these documents, doesn't it?
It is, and there's a reason for that. That 3-month limit, it helps ensure the information is current. Financial institutions, regulatory bodies, they aim to capture relatively recent address changes. It maintains accurate records and, again, mitigates the risk of fraud. Think about it.
Right.
Someone could have moved several months ago, so an older bill just wouldn't reflect their current situation accurately.
Makes sense. Okay, number 2 then, a bank statement. This needs to be an official statement from a registered South African bank, naturally. And it needs to clearly show your residential address.
Yeah.
And just like the utility bills, shouldn't be older than 3 months.
Exactly. And bank statements are generally seen as quite reliable proof because, banks have their own verification processes for account holders already.
I
So
got it.
that adds to the credibility of these statements as proof of address.
Got it. Moving on to number 3, we have a lease or rental agreement.
Right. So this needs to be a valid and current agreement from a registered rental agency or, maybe directly from your landlord. Crucially, it's got to be signed by both parties, you and the landlord. And it must clearly state the property address.
Yeah.
An expired lease, that won't be accepted.
No, absolutely not, because it no longer legally concerns your current residence. The requirement for a valid and signed agreement, it's all about ensuring there's a current legal basis for you actually living there.
Okay.
An unsigned or outdated agreement, well, it just doesn't provide that necessary verification.
Right. Okay, number 4, a municipal letter or confirmation of address. Now, this one sounds particularly relevant for maybe individuals living in informal settlements
Well,
or areas where traditional utility bills might not be formally issued in their name.
precisely. It's an official letter directly from the municipal office confirming your residence at a specific address. This really helps ensure that individuals in, let's say, diverse living situations have a proper way to prove where they live. Yeah, that seems like an important inclusion. Very practical.
It is. It acknowledges the varied living arrangements within South Africa and ensures inclusivity in meeting these requirements.
Good point. Okay. Number 5 is an affidavit confirming residence. So this is a sworn statement, right? Signed before a commissioner of oaths.
Correct.
And this is often used when, say, you're living with family or renting informally, and you don't have those utility bills or a formal lease in your own name.
Exactly. And a commissioner of oaths, that could be a lawyer, notary public, even certain police officers, they're authorized to administer oaths. This adds legal weight to your statement because you're essentially swearing under oath that the information is true.
Right. The commissioner provides that sort of independent verification.
Precisely. Verification of your identity and the authenticity of your statement.
Okay. Sixth on our list, official correspondence from a government institution. So, thinking letters or documents maybe you've received directly from SARS or Home Affairs,
Hmm.
Department of Labor.
Yes, exactly. If it clearly displays your residential address. Because these come from official government bodies, they're considered, highly reliable forms of confirmation.
Stands to reason. The government bodies have their own checks.
Yes, the rigor and verification processes within those departments lend strong credibility to any official correspondence they issue.
Okay. Number 7, your homeowner's insurance policy or statement. This needs to show your residential address, obviously. And it must have been issued within the last 12 months. Now, that's interesting. A slightly longer validity period here compared to the 3-month rule for most others.
Yes, and the likely reasoning reflects the nature of insurance policies. They're typically longer-term agreements, usually annual. And addresses, well, they tend not to change quite as frequently within a single year compared to, say, month-to-month billing cycles.
Ah, okay.
So a document within the last year provides a reasonable assurance of a stable address.
Makes sense. Okay, number 8, a TV or DSTV account statement. These statements from subscription TV services seem widely accepted.
They generally are, yes. They're regular issuance, plus the need for a confirmed installation address. It makes them a pretty practical option for many people.
Right, they have to know where to install the dish or connect the service.
Exactly. Their broad usage and the fact they are regularly sent to a physical address contribute to their acceptance.
Okay. Ninth, we have retail account statements. Now, this is interesting. Certain store accounts, like, say, Edgar's or Woolworths.
Yes, if they include your physical address on the statement, they can sometimes be used as proof.
But there's a caveat here, isn't there?
There is. It's really important to check with the specific institution you're dealing with. Ask them to confirm if they accept these, because not all retail accounts will qualify.
What's the usual differentiator?
Often, it's the accounts where your delivery address is explicitly stated, not just a billing address.
Ah, okay, the physical location.
Exactly. The key is that the statement clearly links you to a specific physical address. A billing address could just be a P.O. box.
Gotcha. And finally, number 10, a letter from your employer. This sounds specific, though. Is it for everyone?
No, this is specifically for employees who reside in housing provided by their employer.
Okay, company housing.
Right. And for this to be valid, the letter needs to be on official company letterhead, must be signed by someone authorized at the company. And ideally, it should include the company stamp as well, just to verify its authenticity.
Right, adds that extra layer of official confirmation.
Yes, the official letterhead signature, especially with the stamp, provide assurance that the employer is indeed confirming your residence at that specific location.
Okay, so we've covered the all-important what you can use, 10 options there. Now let's flip it. Let's talk about what unfortunately won't be accepted as proof of residence. This is just as crucial, I think, to understand, to avoid those potential setbacks.
Absolutely. Knowing what not to use saves time and frustration.
So first up, handwritten documents. That's a definite no.
Definite no. Too easily forged, not verifiable.
Okay. Expired lease agreements, we touched on this.
Also not acceptable. They simply don't confirm your current living situation.
Makes sense. What about incomplete or unsigned affidavits?
They lack the necessary legal standing. The signature and the commissioner's confirmation are key.
Right. And crucially, postal addresses, like P.O. Box numbers.
Cannot be used. They don't prove your physical residence where you actually live.
Okay. And we've hammered this home, but worth repeating. Statements or bills older than 3 months.
Generally not accepted. Or 12 months for that homeowner's insurance we mentioned. They're just not considered current enough.
Right.
These exclusions, they're really in place to maintain the integrity and the reliability of the proof. The whole aim is to have verifiable, up-to-date information that accurately reflects your actual place of living.
Okay. Now, a common scenario we must encounter here at Jonker Vorster Attorneys. What happens when someone doesn't have any of these standard documents in their own name? This must be a real challenge for quite a few individuals.
It is. It really is. And it requires taking some, proactive steps. For instance, if you're renting but maybe don't have a formal lease, reaching out to your landlord for an official letter confirming your residence is a good first move.
Okay.
If you're in that employer-provided housing we talked about, again, that letter from your employer on official letterhead should work.
Right.
Another very viable option is to get that affidavit confirming your residence.
The one signed before a commissioner of oaths.
Exactly. You can usually have this sworn at a police station or through an attorney's office like ours.
Okay.
Any other options?
Well, you can always approach your bank, ask them specifically for a statement that explicitly includes your physical residential address. Sometimes the standard ones might not.
Ah, good tip. So these alternative solutions, they're really designed to provide avenues for people in different situations.
That's the idea, to help them still meet the necessary proof of residence requirements.
They offer practical ways then to formalize proof of address, even when that standard documentation isn't readily available.
Okay. We also get quite a few frequently asked questions on this topic, don't we?
We do indeed.
Let's try and address some of the common ones we hear. For instance, what actually happens if you don't have proof of residence?
Well, unfortunately, you could face delays, significant ones, or even be completely prevented from completing various essential transactions. Things like opening that bank account, applying for certain financial products, registering for specific services. It can be a real blocker.
Okay. And another common one. Can you use, say, a relative's utility bill, maybe your parents' or spouse's?
Generally, no. Not on its own, unless you also have a supporting affidavit confirming that you reside at that same address.
Ah, so the affidavit connects you to the bill.
Exactly. The document needs to directly link you to the property. A relative's bill only proves their connection to the address. The affidavit bridges that gap.
Got it. How recent documents need to be, we've covered this, but just to reiterate.
Yep, most documents, no older than 3 months. That's the standard. The exception being homeowners insurance policies, which have that slightly longer 12-month window.
Okay. And digital documents. People ask about printing online statements, things like that.
Generally, yes. Electronic utility bills, online bank statements, they are usually acceptable, provided, of course, they meet all the other criteria. Recent, clearly showing your residential address, your name.
All the usual checks. What about lease agreements again, validity?
Absolutely must be valid, meaning current and signed by all the parties involved. An expired lease is definitely not sufficient.
Okay. And one we get asked a lot. Cell phone bills.
Yeah, that's a frequent one. Typically, no. A standard cell phone account statement usually doesn't qualify.
Why is that?
It generally doesn't definitively link you to a specific physical address in the same way a utility bill connected to a property does. Your phone contract follows you, not the house.
Right. But, as we discussed, some retail accounts might.
Yes, those specific ones, like Edgar's or Woolworth, that explicitly show your physical delivery address can sometimes be accepted, but always best to check first.
Okay, good clarifications. These cover quite a few common points of confusion we see when assisting clients.
Hopefully that helps clear things up for listeners.
So, to sort of sum it all up,
Right.
having valid proof of residence, it's absolutely vital, isn't it, for navigating just a huge array of legal, financial, administrative processes here in South
I
Africa.
couldn't agree more.
And as we at Jonker Vorster Attorneys see every single day, understanding which documents are accepted by key institutions like the FE, SARS, the banks, it's essential. It ensures you meet FICA and other compliance requirements efficiently, without those unnecessary complications.
Exactly. Being prepared makes a huge difference.
And, regulations can evolve. They do change. So staying informed about these requirements is really key to navigating all these administrative processes smoothly going forward. Should you encounter any complexities in these matters, perhaps need assistance with legal documentation or compliance, please remember that we here at Jonker Vorster Attorneys are always here to provide expert guidance.